He says, come here, Mujahid. He sees him worshipping there. He knows he doesn't want no one knowing that he's worshipping Mujahid. He doesn't want his own family knowing that. Mujahid, come here. You're going to be my close advisor. I want you, when you see me make a mistake, grab me by my shirt and say, Ya Ibn Abdul Aziz, fear Allah. I want you to do that to me, so I can be guided on the right path. The letters come to Umar. Fear Allah in that which you govern. Fear Allah in the people you govern. Because look at those who governed before you. Where are they today? They're in the dirt. They become dirt themselves. And that's what you're going to be one time. So fear Allah. That's why He provided justice. If you say the king of justice after the tabi'een, who was he? It's Umar Ibn Abdul Aziz. After the Islamic Khilafah had corruption in it, he came to revise it. How many times did Umar conquer? Nothing. Umar was fixing the Khilafah within from the oppression, from those who stole it. And you're going to see at the end who cried over him more than anyone else. Umar was working to provide justice. Umar was the forgiven man. He's walking into his house one time, and a man approaches him, and he's cursing him and yelling at him, Khalifa. Back then, you say one word about the Khalifa and you're going to get your neck cut off. And this man is cursing and yelling Umar Ibn Abdul Aziz. The advisors go to attack him and tell him to be quiet. Umar says, leave him. And in there, a poet on the stand said, how many lions do you see who are quiet, but everyone fears them? A lion's quiet in front of you, but everyone fears them. And you see so many dogs barking, and you just pass by him. Sometimes you don't even know. You shut his barking out of your mind, and you just keep passing. The lion is Umar Ibn Abdul Aziz. The dogs are those who barking. Let the dogs bark. His justice, where do you begin and where do you end? Every day of his life was justice. If you talk about every single day, you see astonishing things in his justice. People come to give him khilafah, bay'ah. The leaders around his town want to come from outside and give him bay'ah. And he knows from the previous history of some of them that they were oppressors. As soon as they come to him to give him bay'ah, he kicks them out of their position. Wallah, you have no room to govern under my leadership. He sits with his family, and there's a knock on the door. Who is it? It's his bigger family, outer family, Bani Umayyad. What do you want? He sends his son. Umar, you cut the grants we used to get. You know, like how Al Saud now, every one of them, if you're Al Saud, every one of them gets a certain amount every, month, because he's Al Saud, And in the same with Al Sabah and these later, just because you're a member from that family, you get a certain grant from the house of the Muslims, from the wealth of the Muslims. The same happened back then. You're Bani Umayyah, you get a grant. What did Umar do? He stopped it without asking him. And this is his family. His family. What did they do? They come knocking on his door, the leaders, and they knock. Umar, we want our grants back. He doesn't even go to them. This wasn't an older woman, a weak woman, an orphan who he'd run up to the door for. This is his big family, the rich ones. I'm not even going to go there. He said to his son, go tell them, إِنِّي أَخَافُ إِنْ عَصَيْتُ رَبِّي عَذَابَ يَوْمٍ عَظِيمٍ. I fear that if I disobey Allah, that huge day where Allah will take revenge from me. Umar was so just to the point Maymun ibn Farhan, take this, and that's all you need to know about his justice. Maymun ibn Farhan said, in the Khilafah of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz time, the prey would never go and attack our sheep. No more. As you know in the hadith, at the end of time, before the judgment day, when Isa comes down and spreads justice, the hadith at the end says, a child will step on a snake and the snake will not bite him. There's no more evil. The evil, these problems are from our sins. When there's justice and the sins are nearly annihilated and killed, especially justice, then you will not see this evil. He said a prey would not attack the sheep. You know how the Bedouins know Umar Ibn Abdul Aziz died? The animals started preying on the sheep. They said that righteous man must have died over there. The animals prey on the sheep, that means that justice man is gone. That's what happens when you have a just leader. When you have a you know how just he was? He's going in his house, spreading out the apples. This is for this family. Umar himself in his hands. He could have brought someone to do it other than him. But no, I'm going to do it with my own hands. This goes to this family. Put it in a bag. This goes to this. His young little son comes, little baby boy, and takes one. Whose apples do these belong to? For the Islamic Khilafah. And he takes one and he bites out of it. And he takes some and squeezes his neck and takes the bite out of his mouth. And he goes and delivers all the apples. And then he comes back. And he says to his wife, I smell apples. Did I leave an apple here by mistake? One apple. Umar can't tolerate one apple. The kingdom's under his control, one apple. Did I leave an apple here? She says, no, Umar. Fatima, pious woman, who lived and was with him, steadfast with him. Umar, no. You know that couple dinar we got? I went and bought him because he was crying. Why did you do that, Umar? Why you make the baby cry? Why? He says, Fatima, wallahi, it was as though I was taking a piece out of my heart. But I can't let down the wealth of the Muslims like that. This belongs to the Muslims, not to us. Yes, you think he didn't love his baby son? He didn't want him to take a couple apples. But this doesn't belong to Umar. This belongs to the Islamic Khilafah. He knew that she bought him from their own wealth. He was happy and satisfied. That's the justice of Umar ibn Aziz. Umar ibn Aziz. What did he conquer? Nothing. But he provided justice. Provide justice in your household, and around your surrounding, in your masjid, in your community. And one day, inshallah, we're going to see a Khalifa from amongst our Ummah, from amongst my students, inshallah, who will be like Umar ibn Aziz. Umar ibn Aziz, how was his nights? This was his days. His days were fasting and providing justice. How was his nights? Like I told you, every night crying. One time he's crying, and again Fatima says, Wallahi, I thought the Ummah was going to wake up to a man, to a dead Khalifa. They have to choose another Khalifa. What's wrong, Umar? She wakes him up. Umar, calm down. Take it easy, Umar. What's wrong? He says, I put my head to sleep, and I remembered those who are under the control of the kuffar, those prisoners. Fukkul ani. Free the imprisoned of the Muslims throughout the world. Today, our leaders are only worried about that. Their worry is how to hand over the Muslim mujahideen to the other countries. Their worry is how we can hand them over. You say Cuba today, and the Muslims shake. They're treating our brothers in Cuba today like animals. Mask them. Treating them worse than animals. Human rights organizations are working against what's going on in Cuba, and tell a Muslim Cuba 3 times, he faints on the floor. Cuba, don't see that, brother. Why, brother? Why, brother? They're not our brothers. They're not our brothers who are under the control of the infidels. Without justice, everyone on this planet gets a right to a trial except a Muslim today. Where's the trials of our brothers in Cuba? What did they do? Who are they? How come they can't visit their family? How come they're in nowhere? How come they can't bring them to their own country? Why? Because they treat them like animals there. The human rights are working to provide them justice, and the Muslims are cowards. No, Umar ibn Aziz. Umar says, I sleep and I think about this Ummah. How is this Ummah? The imprisoned. I put my head to sleep and I think about the widows. This whole land belongs to me. Is there widows that don't have wealth for their day? I put my head to sleep. And if Umar did this as a Khalifa, you gotta do this in the position you're in today. Don't say, oh, I'm not a Khalifa. No, you gotta worry just like Umar worried, even though you're not a Khalifa. I worry about the orphans. I worry about everyone. That's what kept him up all night. He gets up at night and prays and prays and prays. She said, 2 years. 2 years. His wife, Fatima, he didn't take a shower from having a relationship with me. 2 years. No, after Khilafah, he didn't have time for his wife. Relationship for his wife. Why? He's busy with the Ummah. In the daytime, if he lets his guard down in the daytime, the Ummah's lost. If he lets his guard at nighttime, his prayer with Allah. 2 years, he didn't take a bath from a relationship with his wife. That's Umar ibn Aziz, rahimahullah. The days go on. Injustice nurtures throughout the world. And you know who kills Umar ibn Aziz? Who would you think kills this man?
Slave, typically.
Who?
His slave.
Why? Why did his slave kill him? His own family killed him. His own members of his own family killed him. Why did they kill Umar Ibn Aziz rahimahullah? Because this man who provided justice to the world took from that personal deen that they used to get. He falls ill one day after 2 years, 5 months, and 7 days in Khilafah. That was his Khilafah. That was all this justice that nurtured throughout the world. 2 years, 5 months, and 7 days. That's all he lived in the Khilafah. He falls ill and he knows he's poisoned. He brings his slave. You poisoned me. He says yes, after he lets everyone out of the room. You poisoned me. I ask you by Allah, did you really poison me? He said yes. I ask you by Allah, how much did they pay you? 100 dinar. Who? Members of his own family. You're free to go because